Zadandani, Electro Ninja here, and welcome back to Electro Ninja's Lab. 2 videos in one day, or should we say 4 videos in one day. Anyways, guys, like I said, welcome back to the main channel, and welcome to freaking My Hero Academia Vigilantes. So, yeah, the latest chapter is out. And honestly, this one was kind of meh, but considering the fact that we are finally back to the main plot of the story, I'm actually really enjoying seeing how things are going. I mean, honestly, seeing Vigilantes get made into a manga is honestly amazing. Seeing Vigilantes and all of the chaos that they have to go through is insane, to say the least. And honestly, it makes a lot of sense. But first off, let's actually go over basically what's been going on. So first off, obviously, we get to see how basically all of their friends have been reacting to all this chaos that's been going on. And Koichi's parents. All of them are worried to just know what the heck is going on. With Pup now stuck in the freaking hospital, basically under arrest, and Koichi now being a wanted criminal, things are not easy, to say the least. The fact is that Koichi is really the only one who's going to be able to handle taking down, well, this enemy. It's not an easy task, to say the least. But I think that's important that we realize that things are not as simple as they may seem. First off, I think the important thing to realize is who exactly is planning to arrest Koichi. First off, we have Midnight. Midnight is there as basically one of the main people who's helping out in the police, making sure that Pup is safe and all of that stuff, while also making sure that Tsukuichi doesn't actually forget what his primary mission is, and making sure that everyone stays in the stays at the hospital to make sure that Pup is safe. And yes, Tsukuichi wants to arrest Koichi, but I don't think he's necessarily going to be the one to do it. In fact, I don't actually think that Koichi's going to get arrested at all. There's a lot to that, and we'll continue talking about that when we get to the end. But obviously, we have the rest of the cast. They're talking to... first, we get moments of explaining that his house got broken into, seeing the fact that that certain little baggie is missing. That happens to have some gauntlets as well, not gauntlets, but knuckles and a mask. Oh, I wonder what that could mean. Honestly, I'm still pretty certain that we are going to be seeing some really good, interesting moments going forward. And then, of course, we also get to see that there's something in a bag that we still don't know what's in there, so I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. And then, of course, finally, we have the actual confrontation. The negotiation, as it would be. Our Suga, I believe is his name, is the main negotiator, telling the cops off that they're not doing their job in protecting these people. And sometimes there need to be vigilantes in order to pick up the slack. Heroes can do a lot of good, yes, but sometimes there just need to be regular civilians who are willing to step up to make sure that things are okay. Honestly, that was something that always kind of annoyed me about heroes and all this jazz. Villains are... A villain can be anyone who is just labeled as a villain. Someone who is not... it's not just people who are doing crimes, but is also people who are trying to stand up. Vigilantes. And that is a bit sad and annoying that so many of these people who just want to help out are being punished for that, for what feels like no good reason. That is what this story is trying to tell us. And I think that that's an important aspect to realize, is that these characters aren't going to be are not necessarily going to be punished for making this for doing these crimes, because the fact is that these people are not the actual villains. They are people who stand up for what they believe in, even though they can't necessarily do what they need to do. They may not be able to do it legally because of the things going on around them. Getting a hero license isn't as easy as walking up to the store or walking up to a DMV and going, "I'd like a hero license." You have to go through a process, and that process takes a long time. We've seen how the UA kids get their provisional licenses, but the fact is that these kids are going through this process basically their entire time in high school. They are learning how to be proper heroes. But people who don't actually get to go to these prestigious schools are forced to make changes to their lives and have to figure out how they're going to handle this stuff themselves. They have to prove that they are actually going to be good heroes. They have to prove that they are strong enough to actually take down villains. That is the important factor. Certain people, yes, they go out and they get their licenses as basically just a precaution. And we have seen people do this that aren't necessarily didn't go to school for it. But the fact is that they have to do it's clear that it is a long process if you are not actually someone who goes to the school. You're going to have to take tests. You're going to have to do both it's going to be very similar to how we do our driver's license. You have to take a written test, and you have to deal with, you also have to do a physical in-person test that actually prove that you are good enough to be a hero. And more than likely, there is a psychiatric analysis that they have to do in order to make sure that they aren't actually giving these to people who are just villains that are trying to get away with their crimes. That is something that they need to do. There are many aspects to this, and I can't really stress this enough. But it's a hard process. And consider the fact of what they've been doing in Vigilantes for so long now, them getting a license is gonna be tricky now, because they now have a record that says these people have done villainous actions by being vigilantes. And that is a big issue. The fact is that only really one of them is licensed at all, and that's Knuckle Duster, and even he is not actually licensed. I don't know, there's a lot to it, and I do want to go over this in more detail in a future video, but we don't have time in this video. Instead, we should talk about how this episode, or how this chapter ends, with Ingenium running off to go after the crawler. Which, honestly, I think that's an important distinction to notice. It's Ingenium. Ingenium is the one who is going after Crawler in order to find him and bring him in. But the important thing to note is that Ingenium is one of Koichi's strongest supporters. Someone who supports him. Yes, he understands that he is not a licensed hero, and he tells him as such, you have to get a license. You have to get a license. I'm not going to arrest you in this case, but at some point I may be forced to. And that is something that I think is an important distinction. The fact is that Ingenium is probably the best person to actually be going after Koichi, because unlike the rest of these heroes, even ones that he's actually interacted with, Ingenium knows Koichi. He knows that he is a good person at heart, and he is going to be able to keep up with Crawler, but also to talk him down, to explain to him that they are not actually going to arrest him. They are not going to punish him in the ways that he thinks. Yes, he is going to probably go to jail for a little bit, but it's likely only going to be for a short amount of time where he's going to get evaluated, and and Ingenium is actually going to be one of the people who is going to come out and say, this kid is worth being a hero. He has done so many good deeds over the many years that he has been the Crawler. Does he deserve to have a license? Yes. Was I the one who arrested him? Yes. And that is the important fact to note. Do I think that Ingenium is going to catch Koichi? Yes. Do I think that that this whole trial thing or whatever is going to happen immediately? No. I think that they are going to still be forced to deal with a lot of these different chaos aspects. And that Koichi is going to have to help out and take down number 6 for a while now. I don't know for a fact, but that idea is an important aspect, and we need to know that that could happen. The fact is that there needs to be something here. I believe that when the trial eventually does happen, Knuckle Duster is going to come forward. He is a pro hero after all. Maybe retired, but he is a pro. And that means that he is able to actually speak out and say, this boy deserves to be called a hero. And so does Pop. These two kids, along with their friends, have been fighting for a long time to protect the people of Narahata. And they deserve to have the recognition. Along with him, he is going to bring out Fat Gum and Midnight to all say the same exact thing. And the same for Ingenium. Even All Might would actually be a fantastic person to come out and say, this kid who has been fighting for such a long time, just wanting to do good for the community, he deserves to be labeled as a hero. And many people are going I think that most of Narahata are going to be saying the same thing. He deserves to be labeled as a hero. He has done so much for the community. He is not someone who just goes around fighting villains. No, every day before any of this, the trigger villains or anything happened, this kid, he came out and helped people. If an old lady needed help to get somewhere, he would let her ride on his back as he carried her to wherever she needs to go. He would carry luggage for people. He would clean up the trash that ended up on the streets because of littering. That was what he did. He is a hero who stood up for Narahata when there weren't any heroes to actually take up the position. The police got on his case a few times, but even they know that this kid only wants to help. And yes, he is being forced nowadays to fight villains, and that is something that we should obviously be wary of, but he has learned how to handle it. He has grown and become a true hero that deserves the attention that he has gotten, and deserves to be labeled as a true hero along with the greats. I don't know if that's actually all going to happen, but honestly, I think that a lot of fans would absolutely love to see that whole instance actually happen and would fall in love with the characters even more, to just see that these characters actually care for one another and are willing to work together to make a true hero out of Koichi and to label him the best hero of Narahata and to sign him a true hero along with Pop and Knuckle Duster as well as the other 3 boys to be the new heroes of Narahata and to be a great team. That's just a fact. But anyways, guys, I'm curious to know what you think. Of course, leave your thoughts and theories down in the comments below. If you are going to leave a theory, make sure to say leave your theory down in the comments below and say theory review somewhere in your comment. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and ring that notification bell. And even if you're not new but you just haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and ring the notification bell, because we do these videos every single week. Well, every week that they come out. And we also do, obviously, miraculous theories and other theories and all sorts of really cool stuff. But anyways, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, like I said, leave a like. And of course, if you want to support the channel even more, then definitely head down to the description. Check out all of our links down there, including our other channels, our social medias, and ways you can support us financially, including our Patreon, our merch store, and of course, the book. But anyways, guys, I've been Electro Ninja, and I will see you guys next time. But on!